So is this crackdown against Ranveer Allahbadia and all the others who are part of this comedy show justified, or is it a tad excessive? Let's open this up to our panelists joining us tonight. We've got Rahul Ishwar, an activist and complainant in this particular case. We also have Manvi Taneja, model and actor. Mr. Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate of the Supreme Court, is also with us. Good evening to all of you. Mr. Hegde, I'd like to begin with you. We're seeing now crackdown and excessive action being taken against beerbiceps, as he's called, and all of the others. We just got a news break also that there have been about 30 people who've been booked right now. Can you just throw light on what law has really been violated with this comment? It's crass, yes. It's vulgar, you can go ahead and contend. But is there a law that's been violated, sir?
To my mind, no. To my mind, no. To the best of my knowledge, no. Of course, there will be certain sections of the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, or the old IPC, which would possibly be given a very creative interpretation. Right now, this is outrage taking over. Outraged law enforcement and other almost a mob instinct taking over. But see, the point is that you can have bad jokes, tasteless jokes. You may think that they're entirely obscene. But at the end of the day, if they do not break any law, you can do nothing about it. Maybe there are people who say that now we must have a law. We must have a law which would regulate podcasts. And this is a very good opportunity for those who are facing competition from the podcast industry to demand regulation of the podcast industry. That also happens. So I am not very sure that today where the outrage is being driven from, it may be bad taste. I do not agree with anything that he said. But I go by the Voltaire dictum that I disagree with everything that you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. In the marketplace of ideas, unless there are bad ideas which are expressed, good ideas will also not be expressed. If you shut down, if under the guise of shutting down or regulating Ranveer Allahbadia, you want to regulate so many other people whom you do not like, especially the political commentators who are there on YouTube and various other channels.
That's an important point.
I certainly see a problem.
Yeah, you've made an important point, Mr. Hegde, and I'd like to bring in Rahul Ishwar, who's one of the complainants in the case against Ranveer Allahbadia. Rahul, there's an argument here that's being put forth about where do you draw the line? You filed a complaint. Here is someone, a popular YouTuber, who's come out and apologized for his comment. Is booking him really justified, Rahul? He's not broken any law. You can go ahead and find it offensive. You can say he's hurt my sentiments. You can outrage on social media, and you're well qualified to do so. But can you go ahead and seek action against him?
Absolutely. Sanjay sir has articulated a liberal point of view, which I respect. But we belong to the conservative spectrum, or the right conservative spectrum, who points out that Ranveer has broken a law. I'm a Hindu right-wing activist. I really like beerbiceps. I also admire a left liberal Dhruvrati and a right conservative or center-right beerbiceps. But ethics is more important than politics. And he has broken BNS.
Surely, okay, ethics more important than politics.
Can I point out?
The law also, I'm sure, the law is supreme.
I'm just quoting the law. Ethics is more important than politics. Dharma is more important than Rajniti or politics. And the law he has broken is BNS 296, which pertains to obscene acts and words in public. Section 285 can be invoked because it is exhibition of obscene material. IT Act Section 67, which is publishing or transmitting obscene material in electronic form. 67A, which is publishing sexually explicit content in electronic form. Section 294 of IPC, which can also attract. Yes, Sanjay sir may have, very efficient counters to it, but there are sections of law which can be invoked and which may attract this particular crime that Ranveer really did. And please remember, I really like Ranveer. I want him to bounce back. But having said that, he should be made an example of. Not only him, every person. I spoke to Mumbai Joint Police Commission yesterday. He has forwarded the complaint to DCP. I'll see to it that FIR is filed and some legal action is taken because he has crossed all lines of decency. Please remember, just last line. freedom comes with responsibility. Creativity comes with sensitivity. Freedom and responsibility they are twin sisters, or creativity and sensitivity, they are twin brothers. We cannot divorce them.
How do you monitor creativity? How do you monitor such content? Just stay with me, Rahul. Let me also bring in now Shrutika Arjun and Manvi Taneja. Shrutika, to you first, as an actor, seeing what's happening right now, where in fact Ranveer is being held for the kind of comments that he made in a comedy show. Do you think it's warranted, the outrage and crackdown against him?
Hi. See, actually, to be very honest with you, I have really been looking up to, in the past, to Ranveer's podcast, because, I found his podcast very interesting. In fact, I was, when I had just come to Mumbai to do the show Big Boss, and post that, when we were approached for a couple of podcasts, I was in fact saying that, his podcast is something that, I'm down south here in Chennai, and that I have been enjoying over a point in time. So from that kind of a person where you look up to for his podcast, you get such what do you say, such kind of the way he spoke about this in this show. I don't even, find it, I don't know, I'm shying away from even saying the lines that he spoke in the show, because to be very honest with you, I was just going through my mobile the other night, and I just happened to see this in my reel, and I was pretty much shocked even before this came about as such a big issue. So as I kept scrolling through, in fact, I called my husband and I was like, look what he's saying. Does he even know what he's saying? And coming from a person that you absolutely don't expect such lines from, is something that's, really disappointing. And to be very honest, yeah, people in the West, they look up to our culture. I feel a lot of people from there have been coming up and, owning up to our culture, to the Indian culture, be it yoga, be it meditation, be it, and I feel, I don't know why we are picking up all this from the West. In fact, the lines that he used in the show, which is a YouTube show, I think it's called India's Got Latent, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So in that show, the lines that he uses exactly picked from a podcast from the West. So it's the exact
that's going viral as well. Shrutika, everyone on this panel, I think, agrees with you that what he said was outrageous, it was crass, it was vulgar. But do you think that it warrants him being booked? Do you think he deserves that kind of action against him for what he said? Do you think he should be held responsible?
See, I feel that this is going to set an example for a lot of people. He has to feel, I know he put up an interview or a post saying that he's really apologetic for what has happened. But, when people get to see the repercussions of it, when people get to see the results of, what happens when you say such things, especially in a society like ours, which really abides to a lot of, culture, ethics and all of that, I feel action must be taken.
You think that essentially you should make an example of this case, set it as a precedent?
It has to be taken for people to know that what are the repercussions for this, because we are really, really leaning towards the West. That's fine, but to pick up good.
So you feel it's a bad example and that's why there should be action. Manvi, do you think so too? What do you think?
No, see, if you ask me, it may be vulgar for some, but entertaining for the rest, because these days people like to watch such content. Audience taste has changed drastically if you see over a couple of years, and one need to understand that audience on that particular show, they were enjoying, they were clapping, they were laughing, and not even a single audience had an objection. So somewhere down the line, there is a demand and supply. Content creators will always try to create such content where audience will show their interest. And if you talk about social media platform, if you try to post a content which is related to religion, education, or fitness, maybe people don't like to watch it. You will not get views on that. But the minute you try to put any video which is obscene or maybe vulgar, you will suddenly get an impression. And it is not only, if you talk about the comedy shows, it is not only limited to the comedy shows. People like it more when it comes to Instagram reels. I'll give you one example. Kis color ki pehne ho, right? So content creators were forced to create a jingle out of it, and I think 80% of youth, they created a reel out of that jingle. So isme kya kahenge? It's height of double standards. It's hypocrisy. Yahan aakar ke it's very easy to say, but yes, if you look at the audience, they're equally responsible.
No,
Because
I
Ranveer
agree
has
with
done
you.
what is-
Rahul Ishwar, this is an important point that Manvi's put forth. Look at this particular show, for example, India's Got Latent. It's subscription-based. And these are episodes that go completely viral every single time, which means there is an audience for what's deemed as dark comedy. So can you really blame the artist in such a case? And look, who's going to draw the line? Today you're offended by what Ranveer Allahbadia said. Tomorrow I may be offended by what some political analyst maybe has said. And I go ahead and file a complaint because he or she has offended, my sentiments. Where do you draw the line?
Perversion and extremism should not be incentivized. That's what's happening now. Those people who say outrageous, absolutely hate speeches, provocative, perverted things, that's being incentivized. In spite of
But
being
there's an audience for it. It's called dark comedy. There are people who are subscribing to these videos.
There is no comedy in this. This is perversion. Just one example. As a Hindu right-wing activist, I have given case against Satvi Prachi for her Islamophobic comments. It's because I'm responsible. She belongs to my spectrum, but such extremists don't represent our dharma. Similarly, such fringe, perverted comments don't represent comedy or humor. This is taking it too far. There are always Lakshmana Rekhas. And who draws it? You and me draws it. Sanjay sir draws it. Tanviji draws it. Or society draws it. Society, through continuous interaction and evolution, through courts, through judicial pronouncement, through legislatures, they keep on drawing it. And in this case, government, everyone, whether it is BJP, Congress, doesn't matter. We are all together in that sense to draw some kind of a line, because our youngsters should not be spoiled. See, I am the father of 2 children. I am really bothered about the mental health of my children who is growing up. One guy is 8. He wants to be a YouTuber. Had he been 15 or 16, if he is consuming such kind of a content, as a father, I would definitely be worried. This is against culture, against sabhyata, against maryada, against ethics, against right and everything we hold dear. That's the reason why 2 are holy cows, faith and family. Let us not bring any perversion to any faith or any family concepts. Faith and family should not be touched, and that is the Lakshmana Rekha that no one should cross. I hope a consensus
Mr. Sanjay Hegde, all of this has again sparked a debate over regulation of OTT, regulation of online platforms, or a law going forward. But do you think, sir, there will be a challenge in defining what's okay and really what isn't?
That's a very clever question. The US Supreme Court struggled with the definition of obscenity. And one of the judges wrote, I know it when I see it. It was Justice Potter Stewart. And that sort of became almost a meme in those days. This was the 1960s and 70s. It was said that obscenity was what aroused a judge. That whatever aroused a judge, would be obscene. Otherwise, no. And anyway, having told you that, you are right about the drawing of the line. What I hear now is also the same kind of dialogue which occurred nearly a century ago in D.H. Lawrence's book, Lady Chatterley's Lover. When that was tried for obscenity, the prosecuting agency, the prosecuting attorney told the jury, is this something that you would like your servants to read? So often the feeling is that there are some people who are not mature enough, or some people who are of a class who would not understand or who would be easily aroused.
Yeah.
That can't be. First and foremost, you said that this is a subscription site. So the answer is, if you don't like it, don't subscribe. Don't see it.
Yeah.
But you cannot say that others will not see it. Tastes may be bad. Tastes may differ. Obscenity is not only in the minds of an untainted listener or viewer. Obscenity is in the minds of the censorious WhatsApp uncles that seem to have taken over our democracy today.
That's an important point you've raised. Rahul Ishwar, would you like to respond? If you're not happy with the content, look away. Close your ears, close your eyes, block the content, because you have that option. Is the answer, the solution really to stop Ranveer Allahbadia, to book him, to file a case against him, or to just not view content you don't deem okay?
That's one submission. That's only a convenient
I'll come to you,
argument.
Shrutika. Go ahead, Rahul.
That's only a convenient argument. I'm absolutely sure, sir, Sanjay sir would agree that if a hate speech is done, we cannot look it away. You cannot ever say that, it is Sadhvi Prati's hate speech.
So are you calling this
hate speech? It's a kind of hate speech of the another form. It's a perversion. Hate speech is when a politics or community is involved, and this is perverted speech when humor crosses a line. We are only saying a line should be drawn somewhere. It can be decided by anyone. It can be decided by judiciary. It can be decided by the courts. It can be decided by the government. But we cannot live in anarchy. Anarchy cannot. Gandhism speaks about enlightened anarchy. This is perverted anarchy. So, we cannot live in a perverted sort of anarchy. And some sort of regulation should be there. That's the reason why we are saying government should not restrict, but government can regulate. Government, seniors, media, self-regulation, everything can come together and bring some guidelines. Even YouTube has community guidelines. Facebook has community guidelines. Instagram has community guidelines. Why? Because there are some checks and balances and Lakshmana Rekhas that everyone has to follow.
Okay, quickly, let me just give Shrutika a chance also to speak there. Shrutika.
Yeah. So I really don't agree on the point. I'm so sorry to offend you, sir, but I really don't agree wherein we are told that, such shows can be let out, and it's upon the audience whether to, watch it or not. It can be given it as an option to the audience whether to watch such shows or not. See, the point is there is no age limit when it comes to social media. Most of them are allowed to watch all kind of content. Like when it comes to a movie or a cinema, it says, movies that are certified A, only 18 plus are allowed inside. You have a check on whoever gets into the theater and all such things. You have a censor board. But here, there is nothing like that. And a lot of people who don't know, who don't really draw the line between what is right and what is wrong, get to watch this varied from different age groups. And I feel unless and until such content actually doesn't do anything to the society, it doesn't help you in any which ways, I feel such shows should really be banned. As a show itself, it shouldn't be encouraged, because I'd say there is an age where you get to know what to watch, what not to watch, what is actually
you made a very valid point about minors also being exposed to this kind of content. Look, it's opened up again all of this debate about whether there's a need for regulation or not, which is a good debate to have. But should we make really Ranveer Allahbadia the victim here for the comments that he made? Crass, vulgar, you can deem it whatever you like. But considering that there is no law in place right now, is it fair to actually crack down on him in this manner? We'll leave it at that. I've run out of time. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us in this edition of To The Point. This is, of course, a story we will continue to track, as now Ranveer Allahbadia, along with all the other guests, the hosts of the comedy show India's Got Latent, have been booked. But that's all we have time for on this broadcast. Thanks very much for tuning in.